Y'all know I've always wanted to be a YouTuber in the sense of I don't have to want to worry about short form. I want to just be able to talk to you. And so I did want to share with you my story about the Masters Golf Tournament. I grew up in a small town south of Augusta, Georgia, and my daddy was a golfer. And on Saturdays, I would actually wake up, even when I was young, felt like it was early. It was probably about 8 o'clock, and woke up because I would be able to go on the golf course with my daddy, and I would be allowed to chip and putt around the greens. And it was some of my favorite time of my whole life to go on the golf course with my daddy. And we did that for years and years and years. And then later I learned to play golf way too late in life. I really should have learned it earlier, and I got to actually golf with him, which was absolutely heaven. So golf has always been a big part of our family. My brother played. He's a very good golfer. And we always watched the Masters Golf Tournament because my mom and daddy got married in 1959. And then he started getting Masters tickets then. And that was back when you had a badge for all 4 days. And so I would go on one day, my brother would go on one day with him, my sister would go on one day, and my mama always went on Sunday. And I went with him to the Masters for almost 30 years. And then ended up going after that when he gave his tickets to us. So when he was not able toward the end of his life to walk the hills, he started giving us our badges. So I got to go with my husband, and which was absolutely wonderful. And so the Masters Golf Tournament means so much more to me than about golf, even though the golf is amazing. And I'm also a huge nature person. So anybody who's looked at my chart of the things that motivate me, it has a lot of them in it. Things that motivate me are nature, God, sports, music, and people, and an eternal perspective. And it has several of those at the Masters. And it is one of the most beautiful places I've ever visited. And I do feel like that heaven will look a lot like that green grass. And I love taking other people with me to have that experience with them. And they walk in and they go, oh, because it's so much more beautiful than TV. So when my daddy died, the tickets went to my mama, and so we had them for another year. And then my mama died, we lost our tickets. And so it is very prestigious, hard to get in. You got to pay thousands of dollars to even get a ticket to get into the practice rounds. And it's getting actually a little bit ridiculous because everything is about money, but don't get me started. And but for a lot of people like me, the Masters is about family, because it is those kind of situations that it just brings me right back to the time I spent with my daddy, who was one of my favorite people in the world. And so now we can't get in, because you fill out an application, you can't get in without spending many, many thousands of dollars. And so the last few years I've chosen to work the tournament where I work in the golf shop, and that allows me to get in. The only thing is I don't get to watch the whole thing, and I really enjoy watching it on TV and hearing all the stories. And instead, I work my little butt off for 13-hour days, get up at around 4, leave around 5:15, clock in around 6, and clock out around 8 p.m. And that's all you can do, just to eat and go to bed and do it all over again for 7 straight days. But it's worth it because you get to be in there. Unfortunately, we don't get to see that much golf. But last year I got to see a little bit more, but you're in there and you're experiencing it, and it's still beautiful, and it's got so much electricity. I'm glad this is only going to people who want to hear about the story. So I'm working in this year. I get super excited about the whole process. Last year, my son and his best friend worked, and they're going to work again. And I was able to experience, I've experienced practice rounds with my kids, but not the real thing. And I was able to experience a few hours on the course with my son, including 16, 17, and 18 with amazing finish of Rory McIlroy last year. So I cried. To be experiencing that with him in this lifetime was one of my dreams. And now I someday want to experience it with my daughter, because she hasn't gone to the real thing yet. And I'm going to do it one year. And we're going to stand on that number 16 together. But so you're going to hear these stories about the Masters in the weeks to come, and probably after. I'm also going to the volleyball tournament with my son for maybe the next to last time, the National Volleyball Tournament on my birthday, which is April 1st, no fooling. And then I'll be coming home for Easter Sunday, my favorite day of the year, and then driving down to Augusta to do the Masters. So that's where all this sentimentality comes from. Is I went almost 33 years straight, and most of those years with my daddy, who's in heaven, and having so much fun playing golf and enjoying God's nature. So I want to say that this year is going to be so interesting because I have to prepare all my meals, and I'm going to be sharing more about that with you, because I do have a special food allergy sticker that allows me to bring my food in. Although for the record, they have great food at a very cheap price, and it is all so good, and that's part of the Masters experience. And so thanks for walking this journey with me. I'll tell you more about the food prep. That's a big deal. But the thought of going there and not having to worry about food and having it all prepped is going to be amazing. And also love going to get my uniform, which I got the other day. And I'll be showing you that. And there's a lot about this that includes recovery, because I remember being at the Masters when I was deep in my addiction, and I was so distracted by my food and my weight as an overweight child, going through all that time of thinking about how many more sandwiches and treats and ice cream. They didn't have ice cream at Masters Inn, but it was just a lot about food. And I remember the first year I was recovered, going to the Masters where it wasn't all about food, and also I was at a healthy weight where I could walk the hills with no problem and felt good inside my body. It's like it was a whole different experience. And so it's a real God experience for me, because he's walked so many years with me, including my single years when I would walk around the Masters praying for that God would give me a husband. And then the whole food thing, the weight thing, the feeling more confident, the just so many different stories have happened at the Masters, and you don't get to take your phone in, and that's one of the best parts. I mean, I'm looking forward to not having my phone. You leave it in your car, you don't see it again until 7:30 or 8 o'clock that night when you hit your car again, and it is absolutely glorious, and I'm looking forward to that. So that's making it even more time with God, because you have time to think. And I love people, and I'm as extroverted as they come. So the more people that come in the shop, the more I get energy. And so I meet people from all over the world. And that's my story of the Masters. If you have a story like that, I'd love for you to let me know. And I will so listen, because I love stories like this. And thank you for watching.